Formula One reconvenes in Spain for the second race of a doubleheader, kicking off the European season. The title battle ebbed further towards Kimi Antonelli as he extended his lead, but back-to-back podiums have placed Lewis Hamilton in second place as Ferrari form improves. George Russell has fallen to third and looking to rebound from a pointless weekend in Monaco. Barcelona is the scene of the next Grand Prix and a great place to come, as it was in fact the first track that the 2026 machine saw action on earlier this year. And a permanent road course will give teams a true sense of the real performance pecking order here in Formula One. But before we look ahead to the race to come, let's take a look back at what transpired in Monaco.
Welcome to the Monaco Grand Prix. The grandstands are full. Max Verstappen in second. Kimi Antonelli is on pole. Formula One goes racing on the street of Monte Carlo. Verstappen barely moves from the front row. Kimi Antonelli leads from Lewis Hamilton, then it's Charles Leclerc, and it's heartbreak for Max Verstappen. Russell giving it everything. Lando Norris struggling for speed.
No battery. Box doesn't have to retire the car.
Kimi Antonelli has one hand on the Monaco Grand Prix trophy. 6 drivers have a 5-second penalty.
Try to tell us through this though.
Here you go, they've done the swap. That is absolutely outrageous. The team tactics cost Alex Albon a position.
Oh, I don't get it.
Lance Stroll into the wall. Will this reset the race? The safety car is deployed. George Russell comes in.
What am I doing? Have I served my penalty or not?
And does not serve the penalty. Green flag flies. Oh, but into the wall and out of the race, Charles Leclerc.
I'm not here, I'm going to take the blame.
We have a red flag with the field backed up. It's a drive-through penalty for George Russell. Antonelli versus Hamilton to win the Grand Prix, and he holds off Lewis Hamilton. And Russell is super slow.
Backing the field up.
Chaos behind and damage for Sainz. Franco Colapinto trying to get by, and 2 taps for Carlos Sainz.
Someone hit me.
Russell called to the pit lane. He tumbles down. Kimi Antonelli wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
That was a masterclass, mate. First Monaco win.
Woo-hoo!
And what a Monaco Grand Prix it was. I think a lot of us are still getting our heart rates down after that thrilling race in the Principality. But now we are here in the pit lane in Spain. Welcome to Weekend Warm-Up here on F1 TV. I'm James Hinchcliffe, joined by Juan Pablo Montoya, IndyCar, F1, NASCAR, just driver of everything. Driver of everything. And welcome to the show, Calum Nicholas, former technician for Oracle Red Bull Racing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, mate. It's a pleasure to be back in this pit lane. I feel like I've spent a large percentage of my life here in Barcelona, but it's always great to be back. The fan atmosphere is amazing.
Yeah, with all the testing that teams used to do. You've been here a lot as a mechanic, and Juan, as a driver, you've probably done more laps here than anywhere else in the world.
And yeah, it gets old really fast.
We'll get to the track in a little bit, but we want to rewind a little bit, look at Monaco. Kimi Antonelli, 5 in a row, unbelievable. Juan, are you surprised by not just the pace, but the consistency that this teenager has shown so far in F1?
No, it's just he's getting it done, and he got in a comfort zone, and he did it in go-karts before, that it just made it look easy. It looked like, oh, he just got an advantage, and it's the same thing here. It's just he's comfortable, he's happy, he's in a happy zone. What's going to be interesting for me is George is going to bounce. How's he going to react when George starts running well? I have a feeling George is going to be very strong here. And are they going to let them race each other? Is Bono going to get involved and say, hey, let's take second today? Are we seeing Antonelli taking a second place and not racing for it? Well, I highly doubt it. But
it's an interesting point, and it could be a good track for George to recover. But if he does, do you think that does throw off Kimi Antonelli's mindset, or do you think, with everything that we've seen this year, does he have the ability to keep it together?
I mean, it's a very different Kimi Antonelli to the one we saw last year. I think that ever since that first pole, that first win, he's been on this roll that you kind of don't see where a disruption's going to come from. He seems very, very comfortable in this garage and with the team. And, credit to Bono and Toto for making him feel settled. I kind of worry, and I kind of don't know how George is going to break this momentum.
So last year, the European season was not particularly strong for Antonelli. Any signs that we're going to see a repeat of that, or was that just rookie season blues?
This is the thing as well, like I said, it's a very different Kimi Antonelli, I think all the signs that we've had so far this year, I don't see that being in Europe's going to make him falter. I think, it's on George to have the impetus to go out there and try and beat him, but I think if you're relying on Kimi to make mistakes because of where he is, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Can Russell recover here?
But look at this. We went Australia. George was really good. And Australia is more of a road course than a street course.
Yeah.
We went to China. George was quicker. Japan, they were pretty close. Then we went through this bunch of street courses where Kimi seems to be really comfortable with the car moving around.
And George has had some bad luck.
Yes.
He has.
Yeah, he has. Like, he should have been it should be a lot closer.
So, sorry.
But now we're going to regular racetracks where I think George is, the tire warm-up is not going to be such a big issue. Getting everything in the window is going to be good. And this is the question is, how is the relationship and how is Kimi going to react to having a teammate being competitive? How is he going to react to, he needs to be comfortable finishing second sometimes. If he wants the championship, that is, to this point, people are saying is he's to lose. He really just needs to, be happy with the second place sometimes.
Yeah, tire warm-up has been an issue for George Russell, but here, very abrasive surface, long corners, hopefully not so much of an issue. Do we think that Mercedes are going to be the pace setters this weekend?
Yeah, I think all indications are that, the rest of the pack are going to be chasing Mercedes as they have been so far this year. I don't expect that to change at all.
Could be a lot of upgrades coming for different teams, Juan. It's kind of back to a more traditional circuit. Does that close the gap at all?
Yeah, we went through all the street courses and everything, so people will start bringing upgrades here. They're going to look at Austria and they're going to look at Silverstone to bring new parts, because these tracks it's all about downforce. You look at the McLarens, for example, they really struggle in Monaco, but I think they're going to be the closest competitors to Mercedes here. I think their aero package is really, really strong. I think for them it's a big wake-up call. We need to figure out why were we so bad in Monaco and figure it out, but aero-wise, they seem to do a really good job. I don't know, we need to see if they have the new front wing here, if they have all the parts, so we'll see.
All right, well, smiles on one side of the garage and Mercedes frowns on the other. Another team that had a similar theme after Monaco was, of course, Ferrari. Let's hear from hometown hero Charles Leclerc.
Charles, felt your pain last weekend in Monaco. What was the debrief like after that one, and where are you in terms of a break fix for this weekend in Barcelona?
Well, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, it's not so different to what I had said right after, but yeah, now we focus forward and we'll try to maximize this weekend and hopefully get back on the podium and get some good points. And surely Monaco hurts, but it's the way it is now. I cannot change that anymore, and I've got to look forward.
Thank you.
It hurts, can't change it, gotta move forward. Juan, is it better from a race driver's mentality to quickly be back at another racetrack to put a race like Monaco behind him?
Yes, if the things improve.
Right.
And if they're done, it gets harder. You know what I mean? It's like the ball starts rolling and you can stop it. So you had a difficult Monaco, and he's going to come here. They're talking about having different brakes going to the carbon industries. That is what, Hamilton has been running. The hard thing here for me is I'm not sure it's the solution. He's been at Ferrari for nearly 8 years driving the Brembos. That's what he grew up with. That's what he knows. Where for Lewis grew up on the carbon industries, and that's what he knows. So the feelings is completely different, and I'm not 100% convinced that is going to be the solution. It might be going like, ooh, this feels really weird.
It's a little bit of monkey see, monkey do, right? It's working for your teammates, so I want to try it. So, Calum, I want to ask you, from a team perspective, how difficult is it to do a pretty fundamental change, not just mid-season, but in the middle of a doubleheader?
Well, we've, for years in the Red Bull garage, we've been back and forth between these two brake materials. The Brembo one, the Carbon Industries, as Juan said, it's very different feel in the brake pedal. And I kind of agree with you in that, Charles might see his teammate not having a problem that he is having and go, well, I want to try that. But it's going to be a steep learning curve anyway.
Is that engineering driven, or is it a driver choice? Because I think this is the problem, is when the engineers start getting involved and say, oh, this is what the other car is doing, we need to do, it's a dangerous game.
It's often a battle between the two, right? Drivers, like, firstly, you'll see your teammate not having a problem and you'll say, well, I want to try that. Also, you see it on paper and you say, well, I want that feel of the brakes. It's not going to be a problem for me. And engineering will say, well, when we look at the data, this might not suit the way you drive. So there's always this back and forth and a bit of a battle. And I know for years, cost has actually been one of these battles between the two brake materials. They do cost different. Teams will make these compromises sometimes.
And you see it even last year with that front suspension change for McLaren. It worked for Lando, didn't work for Oscar, so it's not just necessarily a guaranteed fix. Calum, from inside the team's perspective, you've been at a team where one side of the garage was excelling when the other side of the garage was struggling. What's the dynamic like inside a team when you're in that situation?
I mean, for team bosses, it can be a really difficult one because obviously you don't want to do anything that changes the nature of what the driver's doing well on one side of the garage. Obviously, you're trying to find a way to pick your other driver up. I think, the best thing for Mercedes is that it's not like George is nowhere. I think in the Ferrari garage, it's probably a little bit more of a difficult thing to do because, Charles come in, he's been this staple of Ferrari for all this time. Lewis has arrived and, first season, bit of a struggle at the beginning, and now he's coming into his own. So it's a difficult dynamic to manage. I think that the clearest thing that you can do is just be open, honest, and just let everyone work it out.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how that one develops. Question for you, though, Juan. Lewis has kind of hit a new stride. He's in great form, second in the championship, but the only car ahead of him is the one that he walked away from. Is he happy with the situation that he's in, or is he looking longingly at Bono and Antonelli sweeping 5 races?
But the problem is, he had supposedly been offered only a 1-year deal. So we don't know. He could have been last year, and then he would have had to walk away. So he didn't have a guaranteed 2-3 year extension to stay there because Kimi was coming. So I think his move was the right move, and I think Charles underestimated Lewis from last year. And it's very easy to do when your team, week in and week out, you're beating your teammate, and it gets to a point you don't even think about your teammate. You focus with your group about how to do your job. But now when you're doing your job and your teammate on the same thing is doing it better, then now you're not looking at everyone else, you're looking next to you, and that's mentally really difficult.
Lesson learned, never underestimate Lewis Hamilton. Do so at your own peril. Well, we talk a lot about Kimi Antonelli in this fantastic drive in Monaco. Another driver who was incredible on Saturday. Max Verstappen got that car up onto the front row, his Monaco Grand Prix, over almost before it started. Fresh reset here in Spain. Let's hear what the Dutchman had to say.
So Max, just over 10 years ago, claiming your first win here in Barcelona. I wanted to start with that. Does it still feel like it was yesterday? What are the reflections there? And also, this latest chapter in the journey with Red Bull, a few more learnings after Monaco. How do you put it all into words?
It feels like a long time ago, to be honest. I always enjoy being here. Like, Barcelona is also one of my favorite cities, so it's a great track as well. And yeah, now we're here again. I want to have a good weekend. Looks like it's going to be quite nice and warm. And besides that, Monaco, of course, didn't have the ending that we wanted. But yeah, life goes on.
Thank you.
Life goes on, indeed. We're here back at a racetrack just a few days later for Max to try and do Max things once more and see what the Red Bull pace truly is at this type of racetrack. And we find ourselves now outside the Red Bull garage. A little bit of a homecoming for you, Calum. Just talk about your time here at the team.
Yeah, it's always nice being out here, seeing a lot of my former colleagues, getting on with the work on a Thursday. It's a busy, busy day. I do miss them a great deal, and I certainly miss being in that pit box right there. Those are the things that I've been missing the most.
You are a competitor. We talked about that. I know you loved doing the pit stops. Hadjar had a great result in Monaco with that podium. A few races in, 6 races into the season now. How do you feel like he is kind of gelling with the race team at this point?
I think at the beginning of the season, without upgrades, he looked really, really good. And as soon as the upgrades arrived, it went like, ooh, here we go again. It hasn't been as dramatic, and I think in Monaco he did a really good job, and he recovered well. They told me that I had made a mistake for him in Canada in qualifying. You can't count Isaac out. He's very, very, very good. And with time, I think he's going to challenge Max. Max, the job Max did in Monaco in qualifying was incredible. Like, Max did what Max always done. The difference this year is we had a kid that is doing things just as good or better. That is the crazy thing.
Calum, you celebrated so much with this team, so much success you guys had together. Is it kind of nice after a bit of a tough year, seeing Montreal, seeing Monaco getting those back-to-back podiums for them?
Do you know what? It's always nice for me to sort of be in this position whereby I get to watch them go and have successes in a new era. Obviously, we're in this season, 2026, where everything's so new, the cars, the chassis. I don't think there were many that expected the Red Bull Ford powertrains engine to be anywhere near competitive this year, so it's great to see them doing such a great job.
Yeah, interesting. Nothing official out of the ADUO announcements, but rumors having it that the ICE in the back of the Red Bulls and the Racing Bulls, highest of the power delivery so far. So wait for more official word on that. But hey, credit where credit's due. If it's the case, massively impressive. And it does get to benefit Racing Bulls as well, doesn't it? That team's coming off a strong result as well in Monaco.
I mean, for sure, that's got to be one of the greatest compliments in Formula One, right? To build your engine, spend 4 years building a Formula One engine and go up against 4 manufacturers, some of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. And, well, we'll wait to see the final result, but apparently come out on top.
Another thing that's big this weekend, Juan and FP1 got quite a few rookies. Red Bull is going to be doing that as well. Hadjar is stepping aside. Ayahuasca's going in. How important is it for a rookie in that first session, or any FP1 they get, to gel with the team, to prove they not just have the speed, but can follow instructions and a run plan?
That is really hard. It is really hard. It's a lot of fun. It's an amazing experience. But the beginning of the session is really hard. You're so stressed out. You don't want to make a mistake. You want to make sure you don't throw the car off. You don't do, don't do anything. You know what I mean? So it's really important to just go through that first run, get comfortable, and then just focus on doing your job. The teams normally do a very good job and doing a bit of a long run at the beginning and get everybody, get the head of the driver where it needs to be. We have Colton as well with the Cadillac. There's a lot of rumors going around there.
Yeah, Colton's in for Cadillac. We have Vesti in for Antonelli. Bogdanovic is in for Hamilton. Browning for Albon. Aaron is in for Hulkenberg. And Fornaroli is in for Norris. So quite a few rookies. Calum, from the team side, is it fun working with a new driver for a session, or is it a little bit disruptive having someone else in the car, having to swap over driver positions, things like that?
I mean, front-end mechanics could do without it, right? Because there's going to be a load of stuff in that cockpit, pedals, steering racks even, a lot of things that are customizable to drivers. I think one of the great things we have is TPC, right? So the previous year's car testing, I think that really helps the drivers settle into teams. But that's really the most important thing about these sessions, is that get these drivers feeling comfortable working within a team. From their point of view, is obviously they always think, I don't want to upset anyone in the garage, so they were trying to keep it out the wall this week. But look, I think it's an important thing to do, to allow this sort of development of drivers. And yeah, it's a good learning curve for them.
Yeah, certainly. It's a great opportunity for young drivers, for sure. They didn't have the testing miles that you had back in your day before you had to make your first Grand Prix.
No, because
so
it was open. For us, we could go testing every week.
Yeah.
And the current car. So it was crazy because we basically had a race team and a taste team. So we just went and did laps and laps and laps.
So much harder for rookies now in a lot of ways. I want to move on to McLaren. You said likely to be the Mercedes' biggest threat, but they've been really struggling with reliability, it seems, more so than the factory team. What do we put this down to?
It's just, there's so many moving parts. And when you're trying to make the car as good as possible, as light as possible, reliability becomes always an issue. It's an issue for everybody. Red Bull had an issue with Max in the start. Mercedes factory team had an issue with George. So it's not surprising. The things happen, and what can you do? You know what I mean? And it's weird because it always happens in one of the two cars. It's like, it's such a bias thing. You would think, oh, they're just doing it on purpose. But if it was on purpose, the way they always talk about McLaren, all those issues should be going on on the other car.
Yeah. One of the conversations that we've heard with Zach Brown is talking about maybe some of the disadvantage of being a customer team versus building your own engine, something that maybe down the line they would consider. Do you think maybe with the success that Ford and Red Bull have had working together, does it make it more appealing for a McLaren to maybe take on that challenge in the future?
Look, I think, seeing that success, they'll say, well, maybe we can do it. The ultimate question is, how dedicated are you to it? Here in this garage, Red Bull in Austria, they were fully committed to the project. It was obviously an idea of Dietrich Mateschitz to get this done. And for Red Bull, it was always just about being in control of your own destiny. We had so many years where we were at the mercy of a supplier, And there's so many things that you just can't influence. You know, I remember what I often called the dark days of Renault, where I was like looking at internal vacancies to see if there was any other area of the car that I could work on bar engines. It's so difficult, you know. You think of the team's success with a customer engine is kind of unheard of. So I can understand why McLaren would be looking at that and saying, well, maybe we can go and do this and do it on our own. But it is a huge commitment. I can't tell you the amount of work I've seen in Milton Keynes over the last 4 years. It's been incredible.
We know the engine's pretty good. The car's getting better and better. Do you think they could be Mercedes' biggest threat this weekend?
I don't know about this weekend. I think we've spoken a lot about the weight of the car. There's still things they need to do. I know they've got a load of upgrade packages planned throughout, these Europeans and some of the rest of the races for the rest of the year. I would like to say that by the end of this season, they will want to be a serious threat to Mercedes on track.
My money this week, the closest is McLaren. I think McLaren is number 2. I think number 3, it might be, I would go Ferrari, Red Bull 4. In qualifying, I think Red Bull can match or beat Ferrari, but I think the weight will show up more in the degradation. This place is really abrasive, and it burns the tires of the car.
Within McLaren, do you see this being more of a Lando track or an Oscar track?
Oscar needs to bounce.
Needs to?
Yeah, well,
will he?
No. This is the crazy thing about the season. Oscar needs to bounce. George needs to bounce. Charles needs to bounce. We're talking, when would you have thought this season we were going to go, Charles needs to bounce? This season is insane.
It is insane. We always knew it was going to be an interesting one and an exciting one, and so far it has not disappointed. And this is an exciting racetrack to drive a Formula One car around, despite the fact Juan's done it too much, he says. But let's take a lap around and learn a little bit more about this place from the hometown hero, Fernando Alonso.
The circuit of Catalunya has a very long straight, and then the rest is only corners.
Do you have a favorite memory?
In 2006, I did a lap with the king in a Renault Megane. He was impressed. First sector is quite short. You have only turn 1, 2, and 3. You need to set up the car differently for the straight than the rest of the circuit. And the start is one of the longest distance between the start and the first corner. 3 is the flat-out corner. Then the second sector is very technical, where all the corners and probably the lap time is made in sector 2. Special attention into turn 5. Very easy to lock the front tires. Is the first left corner on the circuit, so that tire is cold when you arrive to turn 5. And then the last sector, very fast. The biggest technical challenge is to nail the braking points. There are not many trail line braking. You brake into the corner with combined laterally loaded cars. You have to roll the speed into the corner a lot, and that's very challenging. 2 fast corners, quite bumpy and quite challenging pit entry as well between 2 walls.
Some commitment into last corner.
Tons of commitment. My neck hurts just watching that on board. This place looks like it's so much fun to drive. And this man, Fernando Alonso, managed to score Aston Martin's first point of the season in Monaco after the raft of penalties, elevated up to 10th position. But Calum, how important was that result for Aston, given the fact they've openly admitted they're not going to be bringing many upgrades, at least in the first half of the season, and point scoring opportunities might be few and far between?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it changes a lot for them. They understand they've got some fundamental issues with the car. That has not changed from last week in Monaco to here in Barcelona. But it's been great for me because my wild card prediction was that Aston would get some points before the summer break. So I'll take 1 point.
Yeah, for me, they know where they are. What I want to see is when they bring the upgrade, because the talk of the paddock of their upgrade is not a little upgrade. I think where they are, we could see the mid-pack, like once with 1 upgrade. And I think everybody's going to go and look, oh my God. So that for me, from the Aston side, Cadillac is coming. They're doing a good job. Alpine should run really well here again. That they were a little bit off, I think, in Monaco. So even, in a road, theoretically, they had a podium, but they never looked that good there.
It'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see when that update package does eventually come. And the driver, one of the drivers that had to have penalties to assist Aston Martin in getting that point was Sergio Perez from Cadillac, who had a penalty after the restart took him at a 10th position. We caught up with him a little earlier.
Hi Sergio. Obviously mixed fortunes in Monaco with lots of positive signs, but then the disappointment of losing the P10 with the penalty. Looking back on it now, what do you kind of generally take from that weekend?
Yeah, obviously, bit of mixed emotions, you know. It's a great story, you know, on our sixth race to make it to the points. It was a fantastic couple of laps that I did out there. Unfortunately, yeah, it meant that in the end we received the penalty. Lesson take from it. I always try to make, when you try to do everything so much on the limit, you know, making your burnouts as late as possible and trying to maximize every single centimeter out there. It can go wrong as it happened. But let's take the positives and yeah, I expect this weekend that it will be a little bit harder for us, you know, with all the high-speed content and the lack of load we currently have. So yeah, we'll see what we are able to do around here.
Great. On a bit of a separate note, obviously the World Cup starts tonight, Mexico playing the opening round. What are your plans for that? Are you hoping to kind of catch that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to leave the circuit as early as possible, go back to the hotel and yeah, I want to look at the ceremony. You know, it's in Mexico. Can't wait to see it, and I hope we can have a good match tonight.
Great, thank you.
Hoping for good results on the racetrack and on the soccer pitch as well. Checo Perez for Cadillac. Guys, that was a huge race, kind of a huge statement for, I think, Checo, who really came into this season with a point to prove. Got dropped from Red Bull. I think his stock actually went up in his year off after what happened in that second seat. Now he's back with Cadillac, really been the team leader there. Do you see that he's actually a higher rated driver now than when he left the sport?
Yes, absolutely. Like, especially you got Bottas a teammate, and he's beating Bottas every week. And it's incredible because, I mean, he should have scored the first point for Cadillac on the first season when somebody, like, if you look at it when they started the season, it's like they were just happy to finish the race. Like, their goal is, let's bring a car to the end of the race, and now we're talking about scoring points. Like, we're not talking about, you know, you need to be mid-pack. This is the crazy thing with F1 right now. The mid-pack is so close.
I mean, the only thing I will say is that, you know, like that penalty, it's unfortunate for Checo in Monaco, but also it was on him, right? I think, you know, but like you say, I agree with you that his time off has increased his stock. You know, I think he got himself into a bit of a spiral down there in the Red Bull garage. And once you're in that, and we've seen it with a lot of drivers, it's really hard to escape it. So I think that reset's been really important for him. And he's come back to showing that he is one of the class drivers in this field.
And the team itself, obviously starting from scratch, I mean, how do you see the progress they've made and how can they continue to build and improve as the season goes on?
I mean, it's such a huge task. To come in as a new team and compete with all these established outfits, it's no easy task. One thing I will say is, you know, I got the pleasure of working for Graham Loudon when I was at Marussia all those years ago. He's an amazing team boss. I know they're sort of putting all the pieces in the right place. They will come good. It's just a case of how long it takes them.
Matter of time. A matter of time. It is not a quick fix, not a quick thing to get a Formula One team up to the front of the grid, but Cadillac are putting in an immense effort right now. Well, guys, we are wrapping up the end of this show, which means we want to tell you what the weekend has in store. Let's take a quick look at the schedule for the rest of the weekend. Of course, we have FP1 coming up tomorrow at 1:10 local time. Practice 2 shortly after, 4:40. You see, we head to Saturday practice 3. No sprint weekend, just good old-fashioned Grand Prix format. Your pre-qualifying show going to start at 3:25 local time before qualifying. And then, of course, on Sunday, the main race starting at 1:50 with our pre-race show. Please stay with us all the way through the post-race show, where we will have tons of analysis and a deep dive into what transpired over the course of the Grand Prix. Well, let's take a look at maybe some of the teams that we haven't mentioned but could have a surprise result. I'm thinking Williams, maybe Audi, maybe Alpine. Where do you see those cars stacking up?
I think the Alpine is going to be good. I think the Haas, they had a big upgrade, and I don't think they haven't been able to show it. So this track is going to be really important to show where they are. So that's going to be a key thing. Williams were kind of concerned. I did an interview with Albon, and he was kind of concerned with the really long corners.
And I totally agree with you about Alpine. I think, you know, I know they're still talking about Monaco and Pierre's podium, but I think, you know, the progress this year has actually been really good. And I always said at the beginning of the season that Alpine traditionally haven't been a team that's great at upgrading a car throughout the course of the season, but they started this year quite well. So they could spring a surprise around here.
Audi, we know the engine might not be up to par, but they're claiming the chassis might be the 4th best. Could this be a place that we see a surprise result?
Absolutely, and you know, we've had the odd, again, little mistake. We saw Bortoleto hit the wall just briefly in Monaco, but again, they've shown this sign of promise, and being back at a traditional circuit, I think that plays into their hands.
Yeah, it could give them some confidence all around. Okay, it's that time, prediction time. We're not going to make the new guy go first. Juan, you're up. What do you think?
I think George.
Yep.
Lando.
Yep.
Kimi.
Okay, not bad.
Wow, that's bold. I'm going to go with Kimi, George, and Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh. All right, okay, I like that. I'm going to go George, Kimi, Oscar. I think we're going to get a couple of those bounces that you've been hoping for. And make sure you join along at home with F1 Fantasy and F1 Predict as well. Well, guys, that's all we have here from the pit lane and weekend warm-up, but we have a very exciting weekend coming up for you. You do not want to miss it. Monaco was a thriller. No reason why here in Spain can't be just the same. Who's going to take the position at the front of the grid, which is so important here in Spain. Make sure you tune in for qualifying to see that. And then, of course, the Grand Prix on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Barcelona.
Lovely old school track. It's fast, it's vicious.
I'm feeling this one. Our battle in Barcelona begins. Oh my word, around the outside to take the lead.
Wow, he's had some incredible moments through the years.
Oh, dramatic moment. Mika Hakkinen out of the race.
Yes, yes!
Max Verstappen, you are a race winner.
Hulkenberg has a run on Lewis Hamilton. No dramas for Oscar Piastri.
Couldn't have asked for more. Thank you very much, everybody.
What a Grand Prix.